Hey everyone, this is Kimmy. I am Mama on a Mission. I am a 14-year online reseller, and I currently sell on eBay, Poshmark, Depop, and whatnot for about the last month. And today's video is a what sold video. And these types of videos for me are where I go over all the numbers, kind of spill the tea on where I'm selling things, how much I'm selling them for, and then towards the end or backside of the video, I will literally screen share the items with you, show you all the details, the brands, what it went for, and some key things, in my opinion, on why they sold for what they did. So I'm always a little bit behind, but the information is still helpful. I'm doing a end of August what sold. And honestly, the sales, I got arrows going up and arrows going down because some platforms were up and some platforms were down. Overall, my sales were still down at the end of August. I do think now in September they are picking up, so that's a great thing. However, let's talk about how much I sold. Now, these numbers, this is probably my first full what sold video where I also talk about like my whatnot numbers. I've talked about my whatnot numbers, but not like laid them out as much as I did here. So I used to say that I'm a part-time reseller, and I think within the next month or two, I really am going to assess the time all encompassing of all the platforms and things that I sell on, which you guys now know I also have a brick and mortar shop, a resale shop that I am a part owner in. I'm really a full-time reseller, but I never really talked about some of my other side hustles or how I brought in money, and that was like separate from my online presence. So really my whole job is being a reseller, and it has forever, for almost 15 years now. It's just how I made that money as a side hustle or a reseller just kind of changed, because I used to have a booth like in an antique type of, mall, like an antique mall. I sold on Amazon, so my job as an online reseller, the eBay, Depop, and Poshmark part has always been a part. And then there's always been something else. Did I lose you already? Am I sounding really confusing? Probably. But I think as a whole, with all of the things that I do, I'm really just a reseller. I'm a full-time reseller, but I do it at my own pace, and I do enjoy the flexibility because I'm also a mom who likes to be there, in every aspect of my kid's life as well. So that's why I did it. Okay, let's get to some numbers because that's what you guys really care about. You don't want to hear me blabber about nonsense. So this is 2 weeks of sales, 2 full weeks, half a month. On eBay, I did $823.78 in sales. That number was down compared to the previous 2 weeks by quite a bit, if I'm being honest with you. So I would say the end of August was slower for sure for me, as it was opposed to the beginning of August. Poshmark, I did $448 in 2 weeks, and that's really not a great number. I'm like not thrilled with that, but it's sales. And Depop, I did $90. Depop is my lowest selling platform online. And so, it's not a total, like I'm not always expecting 20 sales on that platform. And it's super easy for me to use Nifty, my app that I use. I'm not even joking. I have a couple short videos in my YouTube series that show you how quickly I repost using my Nifty app. I cross-post 5 to 7 items a day on Poshmark and Depop with that app. And I'm not joking, it takes me 2 minutes. Like, if you were really fast and you didn't even really look over the information, you just click, 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 it takes you 1 minute to get 5, 7, 10 items onto another platform, which is super beneficial because, at the end of the day, if I only spent a couple minutes a month cross-posting onto Depop, it's fine. It's still money coming in. For only a couple minutes, like it's really nothing. And I do have a Nifty code and a Nifty link if you want to go take a look at that and see kind of what they offer and stuff. But I heavily rely on that app for my reselling business. So in 2 weeks, total for eBay, Poshmark, and Depop, I did $1,361.78, which is about $300 less than the previous time period. So if it's 14 days and you spread that out, I'm averaging about $100 a day, which is my very low goal. So that's still about hitting my goal, but it's honestly not great for me. I want to do better. And September has picked up, and I do think these numbers will go up. Now, I did 5 shows on Whatnot during that time period. And I will say that I am a little bit overwhelmed. I'm kind of adjusting, trying to learn with Whatnot. I've only been doing it a month. It's, or even less than a month, honestly. And I'm going to be doing 2 shows a week for the next month or 2 and see how that goes, see what I can learn. It's been a process, just like anything else. I knew I was going to jump into that environment and not entirely know what I was doing. And that's the case. I don't entirely know what I'm doing. And I've been adjusting and changing things as I go. I'm going to do a 1-month update video because there's been a lot of things I've learned and things I've adjusted, and but I did 5 shows during this 2-week period, and the total sales was $1,016, which, if you did the math, that's about $200 on average per show. And my shows do not go super long because I just don't have the time, unfortunately. The longest one was 2 hours, but most of them are only going an hour to an hour and a half because I just only can allot so much time to those Whatnot shows. So it's not terrible. $1,016 in Whatnot for those 5 shows. You guys tell me, how do you feel about these numbers? I mean, now I'm including Whatnot. I did not include my shop numbers on this, actually. That would be the 5th thing that I do. eBay, Poshmark, Depop, Whatnot, my brick and mortar shop. I did not include those, but for the 4 different places that I sell, my total for 2 weeks was $2,377.78 across all 4. That's my sales numbers. $2,377.78. And then honestly, there's still many more hundreds in the shop. So there you go. We're going to go over the eBay, Poshmark, and Depop. It's really kind of hard to show you what I'm selling on Whatnot because really, if you look at your receipts on Whatnot, it's really just a title. There's no pictures for a lot of it. So I really can't show you that as much. I will say, here's what I did in the 5 shows. This is how much I sold in each one. 104, 136, 349. That was a plus size show. 103 and 324. So a pretty heavy variance between those 5 shows for a total of $1,016. I'm happy with these numbers. Whatnot is going to be different because I'm actually probably going to be averaging less shows for the next month or 2 until I really figure out what I'm doing with my life, because Whatnot has been a whole new environment for me. So there you have it. Those are the numbers. I'm going to be doing a little bit less in Whatnot. I will say that my September sales have started to pick up, so I'm hopeful that I'll be able to tell you guys some better news that things are getting better. And that's, pretty typical for fall. People, kids go back to school. People are done with their summer vacations or summer trips, or, there's a lot of things going on in summer. There's concerts and fairs and, people go on their vacations, obviously. And there's a lot of things going on in summer. A lot of families have kids home, or your grandkids are home with you, or you babysit them. I hear all kinds of things from you guys. So it's not really that shocking that everyone's busy in summer doing other things. Fall happens, kids go back to school, all those types of events slow down in a lot of places, and the weather changes, it gets darker sooner, and we all start shopping more. Let's just be real. We all are on the couch a little bit more because, that's just the time period. So those are the numbers, and I will turn this thing around. I will screenshot with you guys exactly the items that sold, what they sold for, and all those things. I know some of you really like these specific videos because you're looking to see what is selling and for how much, brands to keep an eye out for. If you really love learning that specific information and you want to get right to the point, you can go into my playlist of what sold, and I do these videos like a couple times a month for the last however many months and months, and they're a good resource of information if you want to learn specific styles, brands, all those things. So let me turn this around. I think September is going to be better, so we'll see how those numbers go, and I'll compare those, and hopefully they will be better, and I'll show you what I have sold here. Okay, here we go, you guys. This is where I screen share the exact items that are selling for me. This is an Anthropologie item. I was able to find the stock photo. The brand from Anthropologie is Knitted and Knotted. This was a modal and silk blend top in size medium. There's the stock. As you can see, it had some really pretty details at the top there, like almost like an embroidery knit. And there is the tag. Some of you have asked, the RN number there on the inside tag shows some of the Anthropologie items with that number. It's 66170. And also note that this says made in Turkey. You know, sometimes if things aren't made in China, I will kind of take another look because it may be something that is like specialty made. And there is the tiny little logo. This was about the size of a dime. This was where the brand was at the top of the item. Knitted and Knotted. This sold for $22 plus shipping, and it does seem like the perfect time for this to sell. Now, this was a brand I did not know. Municipal Sport Utility Gear. Size extra large, hoodie, pullover, sweatshirt, and I put in the keyword Gorp Core. Gorp Core is like the style aesthetic for wearing, you know, things that are more sporty, athletic, but more like streetwear type of sporty, athletic. But it had a nice spell out on the front. See that big, you know, spell out logo, Municipal. This sold for $30 plus shipping and was a new brand to me. It sold in like 2 months, so really a great flip, and always good to learn a new brand, of course. Now, this was Free People. This was not such a great sale, and honestly, a lot of my Free People items don't go for a ton unless it's like a dress or has a lot of stackable reasons to have a higher price. Now, I follow the grateful reseller Quemby. She does a ton in Free People, and hers usually sell for more than mine. So it is what it is, but I still pick up Free People usually just at the bins. That's the only place I would pick it up. This was a 100% cotton, size medium, knit pullover sweater. It had like a wider neckline, and this only sold for $12 plus shipping. So again, Free People, you know, a lot of times I will only pick this up at the bins. Now, here's a great sale. Soft Surroundings, I am slowing down on picking up. The brand is not doing as well for me. However, this item had a lot of stackable reasons to pick it up. Soft Surroundings, asymmetrical hem, size medium, artsy dress. This was, you know, if you see that print there, that is very much artsy, maybe eclectic, art teacher, art to wear. It's a really beautiful print and some bold colors. In a size medium, that's an okay size for me. This sold for $22.33. Also, the fact that it was longer and it was a dress helped this item sell. But again, Soft Surroundings is a harder pickup for me these days. This is a pair of Converse shoes. I used my Google app where you can use the Google image, to find comps for this item, which is always kind of nice. These are the Sedona Redfield Surplus, very rare, men's size 13 sneaker shoes. And sometimes, you know, I pass on Converse all the time, but if you find a certain style, or if like it's a collab with a certain cartoon character on it, or the colors seem really unique, that's where you could, you know, find an item that would be worth more. These sold for $40 plus shipping, and it really was just a unique color tone combination that made them a more rare find. And the men's size 13 honestly is pretty big. So that's my advice on Converse and kind of how I go about my Converse items. Now, this was an interesting find. I do love finding like these muumuu or longer pajama dresses. They're comfy, cozy. People love them. I love them, honestly. This is Carol Hotchman sleepwear. It was a plus size house dress pajama. And the customer actually left a glowing review. She's in love with this. And if she, I find any more basically to tell her. Carol Hotchman sleepwear. It was a plus size. It's a longer, comfy, cozy sleepwear dress. I accepted an offer of $22 plus shipping on this. And that's a great bread and butter sale. I got this at the bin, so it probably cost me $1. And really any of these like kind of house dress pajamas, maybe take a second look at. This was a fantastic sale. I do pretty well in this brand. I mention it a lot on my channel. Larista by Spring Step. These were in fantastic shape. Look how pretty these were. These were Western, Aztec, tribal, and it is like the gladiator style strappy sandal in a women's size 10. Spring Step Larista. Just a really pair of cute shoes. These sold for $39.64. And I do think a lot of things made these a higher shoe sale for me. The brand, for sure. Also that they have this Aztec-y, Western, Southwestern, cowgirl style. And they were also women's size 10, which is a little bit harder size to find. So all those things I think elevated this to be a higher price sale. Now, I included this sale because this brand in general, most of their items are trending on the lower end than they used to be as far as sales price. It's Duluth Trading. This was the Flex Fire Hose cargo pants in size 42-34. Now, if you would ask me 2 or 3 years ago, these were fire. Everyone wanted these pants. And now the market is saturated and people are not wanting them as much. So that happens all the time and we have to roll with the punches and stay afloat with what's going on. I do still pick up Duluth Trading, don't get me wrong, but you're not going to get as high of a price. They're not as fast as a mover as they used to be. These sold for $25 plus shipping. I do think this classic brown color also elevated this item. It seems like men are really looking for this color tone. The Flex Fire Hose is very common in these pants. So now this was another find from the bins, and I wasn't sure how it was going to do because they were pretty worn. These are Y2K vintage Victoria's Secret size extra small fold over yoga pants with the glitter wings. The fold over with the glitter wings is what really sold this item. And if you can find any of the vintage Y2K fold over, yoga pants like this, there is a huge following for them. The condition was a little worn, but I got them at the bin. So I was like, you know what, even if I get $15-20 for it, I feel like there's enough, desire for people to have this that I thought I could, sell them. So look for that fold over yoga, yoga athletic at leisure, jeez, style pant. I was a little concerned with the extra small, but they did fine. They ended up selling for $40 plus shipping. This is very much a style Y2K retro aesthetic that is trending right now, and I'm really happy with that sale. Now this is another pair of shoes. I always joke that I'm better at finding like ortho or orthopedic style shoes than I would be like Nike shoes because these are orthopedic shoes help, they're there for comfort and they're helpful to people even like me who need a more quality sole and some support. So this is a women's ortho feet orthotic comfort sandal size 9 in a pewter color. And you can see it's kind of a unique color here. It did have an adjustable strap And the size 9 is a good, that's a solid size here. And these sold for $20 plus shipping. I get most of my shoes at the bins. I'd say about 80%. And that's a great flip. Now, these kind of sat for me for a while, but I do think the time period of now in fall is why they finally sold, because of this color. This is Anthropologie. The brand is Cartonnier. There's the tag for you. You can see the RN number, 66170. They were like a green, yellow, mustardy color, and they were only a size 0, and I do think that's also why they sat so long. I did get these at the bins, so it's fine. They sold for $22.81. There's a lot of Anthropologie brands to know, and honestly, not all of them are a pickup. Sometimes, you just don't know how they're going to do. Look up the solds, look up the specific Anthropologie brand, and this is not one I find a lot, and I would say I would probably pass on it next time. This is a Jack Victor Canada sport coat, size 42R, super 100s, and it was wool. There's the tag for you, the size tag, size 42. That's how a lot of the blazer jackets are sized, is numbers for men as opposed to small, medium, large. 100% wool always helps. If you can find a silk or cashmere blend, that helps even more. And here, it looks like it was, I don't know, I think it's made in Canada, but was it tailored? I think maybe it was tailored in Illinois. But I'm trying to learn more about blazer jackets. Some I'm doing well, some are kind of slow for me. This sold for $32.38, and that's still a good sale for me. Now, this is a brand you absolutely want to know, and the logo, tag, is kind of average size or maybe a little bit bigger, but the actual logo name brand at the bottom is hard to see. It's Buck Mason. This is a size extra large. You can see right there on the tag. Extra large vintage thermal surplus tee in a size extra large. I do love when brands put all that information on their tags because it makes it really easy to look up comps and to list your item. That's all you really need to know. This sold for $30 plus shipping. Buck Mason, that's absolutely a brand to know. Now, this item sold, because of a couple things here. Jennifer Tyler, cashmere and silk blend wrap top, women's size 2 or size small. Now, I think it sold for the fact that it's silk and cashmere, absolutely. And I also think there is a lot of customers who are looking for the real wrap style top. And this ended up selling for $28 plus shipping. It seemed like the Jennifer Tyler maybe added a really little bit of value, but the key components here are silk and cashmere blend, and that it's a real true wrap top. I mentioned this in one of my ship with me videos. I loved this dress. It was absolutely stunning. It's a vintage 90s Bila long maxi dress in a size large. I put the keywords earthy, boho, and artsy. This print was just to die for. I was obsessed with this. Really nice bohemian, boho, earthy dress, and it sold for $28 plus shipping. And I love picking up this style of dress. I would pick this up 100 times over if I could. Now, this is just a lower bread and butter here. Maurice's is not a brand I pick up very much unless it's style-based. This is, see the color tones in this? It's perfect for fall. That's, I'm sure, why it's selling right now. And it's a plus size. V-neck, floral peasant boho top with a little tie accent and some embroidery, lace kind of accents, which always elevates an item. This only sold for $15 plus shipping. That's a lower end bread and butter for me, but I do love selling plus size, and that's what that was. This was the last of my packed dresses. I've gone through quite a few over the last couple months. PACT. This is a 100% organic cotton navy striped midi dress in size medium. You definitely want to know this brand. It will sell itself. And if you find also anything with organic materials, you definitely want to take a second look at that. This dress sold for $33 plus shipping. And basically every packed dress that I've sold over this last summer has landed in that range. You'll get about $30 to $35 for packed dresses. Now this print, oh gosh, I just love this. The brand is Woolrich. This is a women's button-up shirt in a size medium. This is Southwestern, this is tribal, this is Aztec, this is cowgirl. This print is everything. It's so popular right now. Woolrich is a good brand, but the resale value is a little questionable in my opinion. However, that it was a long sleeve and the print really was the reason to sell this. $20 plus shipping. Now here's another brand that I do personally like selling. It's Rails, R-A-I-L-S. This was a ruched mock neck blouse in a watercolor art to wear style print. I was able to find the stock photos, which always look better than my photos, honestly. Obviously, they probably should. Really cute piece here, mix of blues and grays. This sold for $32, and when I found the stock, I was able to find that the original retail was $148 on this top. And sometimes I do like putting those details into my listings because then, you know, people will realize the value that they're getting. $148 for this brand new. You can see at the bottom here, I put artsy, earthy, boho, watercolor, art to wear, designer top. I mean, $148 for a top is a little out of my own price range, if I do say so myself. This is, you know, I do a lot in Wisconsin type of sports just because that's where I live. This is a 1/3 zip, extra large long sleeve Milwaukee Brewers top. The Brewers are really hot right now. They're still doing, you know, pretty well. They're probably going to get into the playoffs. So it's no surprise that this sold for $18. Now here's a great sale. This, you guys know this brand. I've mentioned it before. You want to know this brand, Vuori, V-U-O-R-I. There's part of the tag for you, V-U-O-R-I. I should make a song, V-U-O-R-I. This was great because it was an extra large. It was also made out of recycled polyester. It's a long sleeve hooded pullover. And it sold for $49 plus shipping. That's a fantastic sale and absolutely a brand you want to know. This is another, look at this. See, this is another cowgirl, rodeo, horse, equestrian, you know, all those Southwestern tribal style item. The brand is Rough Rider by Circle T, made in the USA. This is vintage. Western long sleeve shirt and a women's extra large. This sold for $20. A lot of my vintage or style based basic items will go in that range. And really this print is what sold it for sure. Now this I picked up at the bins and I didn't know if it was like lingerie or not. It's from Torrid, size 2 bodysuit one piece. And when I got the stock photo, they said it was honestly made to go under like a blazer. I think you could honestly go either way because this is just a stunning little piece. But it said, you know, pair with a pair of like high-waisted jeans, put it under a blazer. Yeah, I got this at the bins though, and I paid 50 cents and it sold for $27 plus shipping. And honestly, this proves that you can still make a little bit of money off of Torrid, but you just have to be more selective or be, you know, realistic in what you're going to sell in that brand. You guys know I love this brand, Logo by Lori Goldstein, in plus sizes, usually only. It's size 3X jersey knit open front cardigan with the slouchy pockets. That jersey knit is usually like a rayon spandex blend. It's soft, it's smooth, it's stretchy. I love that blend of material. And this was right where I normally would expect it to be. It sold for $23 plus shipping. And, you know, that's basically where I usually land with those items. This was a fantastic sale. Shout out to my girl, Rachel, Things by the Burke. She bundled up some items on my Poshmark with me. I am so appreciative for your support, girl. Thank you. And this is an amazing item. I don't get to find quince a whole lot. If you do find quince, it's probably a pickup. This was a French terry jumpsuit with a shorter cropped length, but the wide leg in a size large. I feel like this photo from me is pretty good considering it's a full-length jumpsuit. And here's the stock. These are the jumpsuits, very trendy, and quince is a very popular brand right now. You really don't even have to put a whole lot in your title or your description because quince is one of those brands right now that will pretty much sell itself. Now here's a couple style-based sales right at the end. A lot of times on Depop, that's what I am selling, are style-based items. And this is a vintage Y2K brown rose halter top. I put in grunge and goth. Of course, rose in itself is kind of a style word. You can see this tag here. It says heart and soul with the paper tag. That's how you know it's vintage. I did not pick it up because of the brand Heart and Soul. It says made in the USA. That's another indication it could be, you know, from the Y2K era or older. And just the style in general, the brown darker color, the made in the USA, you know, it's vintage Y2K. It just gives off this like grungy, dark kind of style aesthetic with the band at the bottom. And this sold for $29.48, and that's fantastic. My Nifty app sent out a offer and they accepted it. Another style-based pickup here. This is everything. I love this top. Vintage Y2K Fairy Goth Milkmaid baby doll style top, size medium with some velvet accents. This is everything, you guys. The dark colors, the Milkmaid style with the Empire, you know, the baby doll accent under the chest line. And this, if we zoom in, there was a lot of velvet. See, this is a velvet accent. All of those things make this a great style-based pickup. And it's no surprise it sold for $28.43, which is great. Love the dark colors, dark romantic. Now this is a style-based, but also a brand-based. These are Lucky brand loafer shoes in a women's size 7.5. I did put in the keywords classic because loafer shoe is kind of a classic. Academia and work. You could probably put in preppy, maybe college. It is a smaller size at 7.5, but they were in fantastic condition. Look at these. Almost barely even worn. And Lucky brand does elevate the sale price on this a little bit. So definitely a great sale here at $29 plus shipping. Lucky brand women's loafer. And those are some of the best sales out of those couple weeks. I hope you guys learned something, and I hope this was helpful in some way. Check in, let me know what you think and what your favorite sale was, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Bye.